Hello, friends. James Stevenson back with another edition of the show you know and love, James's Gems of the Week, the show in which I, James Stevenson, take you through the list of tweets that I liked on Twitter over the past week. Loki the Chihuahua is on assignment in Damascus and will rejoin us when he's back on the job. Either that or he's in his dog bed at the other end of this table. One of those things is where Loki is. So I have made an effort to respond to the feedback that I've received in the comments that my screen is just too small. Folks, fasten your seatbelts. I am trying to get the comments now that it's way too big. Please make it smaller. I think I've made it about as big as I can. I'm going to share my screen with you, and we will go through those tweets. Let me bring up Twitter. Bam. All right, I hope that's big enough on your cell phones, folks, that you can read it. Okay, this was the most recent tweet that we looked at last week in my likes. So we'll just keep scrolling up through my likes, and I will explain to you why I liked them. So here's a tweet from Dave Lee at HeyDave7 on Twitter. Tesla is to protect life on Earth. Some will laugh at this, some will get it. History will be the judge. I like that tweet. Responding to Elon Musk, who said the first part of that, followed by SpaceX, is to extend life beyond Earth. All right. Next is all right. That's a GIF I wanted to let you hear. That Earl of Frunk Puppy at 28 Delays Later on Twitter captioned, summary of every argument I've had with Tesla Q. And for those of you who are audio only listeners, you need to watch the video to see what's happening here. But there's a guy wielding a 2x4 for some reason in the street. I'm sorry, there's too much to explain. So I'll just keep going. The next tweet that I liked was from Steve Hamel at SteveHamel16 on Twitter, who said, watched, great podcast. What did he watch? Well, let's click through and scroll up. Oh yeah, so this was my interview that I did with 4K Podcast this week. So I was on vacation this week, and that freed up some time for me to do a couple of interviews. I did one with Brian, My Tesla Weekend, at 4K Podcast on Twitter, where we talked about some FUD that we've had to fight over the years. FUD logic, FUD standing for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Those are the emotions that short sellers want to arouse in long-term investors in companies that they're shorting, because those are the emotions that cause people to sell a stock they own or to not buy a stock they were considering buying. And both of those things are good for short sellers because they result in the share price going lower, they hope. So yeah, that was a good half-hour video with 4K Podcast. I will try to remember to leave a link in the description, or you can just go find that on the My Tesla Weekend YouTube channel. All right, and I tried to go back and unlike a bunch of tweets that I liked this week because I got a ton of congratulations from people on passing 100,000 followers on Twitter. And I did not want this episode to be overly self-referential so I unliked those tweets. But I did like all the tweets originally. You know who you are if you said something nice and I liked it. And I did leave some of those in here still, just not as many as I liked in the first place. I went through and wiped out 2/3 of them probably. All right, the next tweet I liked was from Bradford Ferguson, who tweeted, I'm never buying an iPhone with that jerk Steve Jobs as CEO. He's a terrible father and boss. That's a quote he's attributing to himself a year before he bought the first of many Apple products. So what's he referring to? Well, for some reason, at Kane_on, Thomas Kane on stocks, went viral, getting 70,000 likes on a tweet reading only, my son sold his Tesla, said he was embarrassed driving a, quote, Muskmobile, end quote, thoughts, question mark. So he got 10,000 replies to that. One of them was from me, and I said, wait, before your son can own anything, he researches who owns the company that makes the product to see if he agrees with all their views. Tell him to clear his calendar before filling up his Toyota at Citgo. And I was shocked to see no spelling corrections in the replies on Toyota. This, of course, being Toyota Motor Company, owned by Akio Toyoda, the CEO of that company, that refuses to make electric vehicles unless they give them ridiculous names like 4XBC or something. I can't even remember the name of their dumb EV, but they're not even seriously trying to make very many of. So that's why I like that tweet from Bradford. Next, there's a tweet here from Holmar's Catalog at Holmar's Blog on Twitter. The majority of new electric generating capacity being added is solar. Look at the yellow here. I'm so glad they picked yellow for the solar color, the color of sunshine. Look at the sunshine just growing and spreading up and across this chart. Half of the US annual additions of new electric generating capacity since in Q1 of 2022, it has risen to 50% of capacity additions. So this is what you want. You want to see that the grid is becoming greener all the time. This is one of the ways to combat that dumb old fuddy argument of EVs aren't really that clean because you have to plug them into the wall, which is getting its power from coal-powered power plants. So it's the long tailpipe problem, where sure, your car doesn't have any emissions, but the power plant that made the electricity that recharged it did have emissions. Well, if you buy a gas car, your car will always have emissions and never get any cleaner throughout its life. But if you buy an electric vehicle, that vehicle will start off from day one having no pollution. And if you put solar panels on the roof of your house, you'll be producing your own electricity to charge it that's 100% green and emission free. And the grid gets cleaner all the time, as this chart illustrates. So that's why I like this tweet from Holmars. And he tagged onto that, nearly 90% of new capacity is renewable, which is great. I like to tweet from Electro Auto Coach at Electro Coach with a K. Great vid, appreciate you guys tackling some of the FUD that's been out there for way too long, so I like that. Yashu Sharma at Hey It's Yashu tweeted, would love to have James on. And I replied, let's make it happen. And then we did. So that was the other video that I recorded this week where somebody interviewed me. We had a great conversation about Tesla. So you can go check that one out too. I will again try to remember to put that link in the video description so you can chase that down and see what we talked about. Next is a tweet from the Short Shorts historian at Tesla Historian on Twitter, who always gets at least one like from me. Tweeting, this day in Tesla Q history, critical thinkers, BS detectors, at Tesla Q podcast 3 years ago. So here's an account that's been active on Twitter for a long time, obviously in the Tesla Q community, who on July 19th of 2018 tweeted, I do anticipate that part of the collection of Tesla Q will remain as a pseudo cabal within FinTwit, where the Tesla Q experience has vetted folks as being worthy critical thinkers with astute BS detectors who care about actual financials beyond solely revenue growth. Well, this is where Tesla was trading back then when they said it was really overvalued and was doomed to crash, you know, to a $10 price point or worse, split adjusted. They were buying $50 puts back then, which is stock options gambling on a company going bankrupt. We're so close to bankrupt that it doesn't make a difference. Yeah, so I like that tweet. Next is a tweet from, hey, same account. It's once again time to remind Wolfie, Wolfie in this case being Wolfgang Pipperger, at W Pipperger on Twitter. A Daimler executive, I believe, is what Wolfie does for a living. In Poland, perhaps. Don't quote me on that. It's once again time to remind Wolfie about this meme. Gets better every year. And here's the meme. Waiting for Tesla to go bankrupt. The skeleton sitting on a park bench. You will have to see it the rest of your life unless you become a bull, said at SSB168. And Wolfie replied, I'll make one for you when Tesla is bankrupt and your position is zeroed to watch for the rest of your life on food stamps. Q! Exclamation point. It is war cry. Bankruptcy is what the Q stands for. All right. But because when a company goes bankrupt, they delist the stock off the stock market, and for record keeping, they tack on a Q to the end of the stock symbol. So that's why you see on Twitter, hashtag Tesla, TSLA, for people who are supportive of Tesla or investing in Tesla or trying to discuss the stock. And then for the haters and the short sellers, they use the hashtag Tesla Q, TSLAQ, because they believe that the fate of Tesla is to go bankrupt. All right. Next is a tweet from Earl of Front Puppy, who I mentioned earlier. I just can't get over literally paid Ford employees posting about their truck saving the world. It's fine, but my gosh, how the Tesla community was falsely accused of being paid for years. Sheesh. And that's true, right? So what's he talking about? I guess there were some Ford events where the power mysteriously went out. And somebody who had an electric Ford Hummer or Lightning was able to plug in their truck and run the electricity for the event off of their truck. Well, okay, but if a similar thing had ever happened, you know, with Tesla and a Tesla employee coming to save the day, it would have been met with justifiable scrutiny from those on the opposing side of the discussion. All right, next is a tweet from Jonna Kreider at Jonna Kreider1, who tweeted, James, look at what you did. And the screenshot here is that Tesla Q was trending. So what's she talking about? If I chase this through, oh, I tagged hashtag Tesla Q when I tweeted out that video. So if you want to learn more about regulatory credit sales, warranty reserves, stock-based compensation, deferred revenue, and all the myths around those that the haters and the short sellers are trying to promote in the Tesla Q community, and what the truth is that they don't want you to find out about, that's what's in that video that I shot with Brian. All right. The next tweet is from Lipsite at LipsiteE on Twitter. Can't be sold or will be dumped at sea or will be used to further expand transportation of drugs within the Mexican cartel, or fake cars / missing components, or will be sold to fleet buyers at a deep discount or sitting there because no demand. Did I get everything? So why would I like that tweet? Well, it's in response to Earl tweeting Tesla Q seeing that full parking lot, and he's retweeting Sawyer Merritt, who is at Sawyer Merritt on Twitter. You should be following him. He's got like 300,000 followers. So if you want Tesla news, that's a good account to follow. Breaking, record 7,000 plus, I counted, Tesla Model Y and Model 3 spotted at Shanghai's Luqiao port today, ready to be loaded for export onto a cargo ship. And good golly, look at all those Teslas. So those who've been following Tesla Q for a long time know that they believe full parking lots and empty parking lots to both mean that Tesla is doomed. That's how they interpret that news, according to their flowchart that I've been tweeting for many years now. All right, you can search Twitter for that one and find it pretty easily. Next, GM News From Sawyer Merritt, GM has officially unveiled the 2024 Chevy Blazer EV, up to a 320-mile EPA range, $47,000 starting price, summer 2023 launch, up to 577 horsepower, up to 190 kilowatt charging, 78 miles of range in 10 minutes. 17.7-inch diagonal infotainment system, and the Blazer EV SS will be $66,000. All right. So if I chase this through, I think I replied to it. Let's see if I can find my reply. Yeah, here it is. After what happened with the Bolt recalls, Mary is really going to roll the dice, tempt fate, and call it the Blazer. And then, you know, the appropriate GIF to go with that sentiment from the great film Dodgeball. So if you haven't seen Dodgeball, that's where this is from. Blazer. All right. Next is Yashu saying James is coming on the channel the morning after Tesla earnings to break it down for us. So that's what I did the morning after Tesla earnings. Oh yeah, earnings happened this week. That's one of the things that happened. I went on Yashu's channel and talked about, you know, the Bitcoin sale that nobody expected, stuff like that. So that video's in the description if I remember to put it there. I sure hope I remember. Otherwise, you know, go to Yashu's channel and find it that way. It's easy to find stuff these days. Google makes everything easy. Next is a tweet from Fernando Vidal at FERNAVID. Fern Avid, maybe. Ferna Vid. That's probably it. So he tweeted a little less pathos, but true that it looks a bit cleaner this way. What are we talking about here? Well, his tweet was originally amazing how much variation there are in bear market drawdowns looking back over almost 100 years. If the bottom is already in, this will have been on the shallow end of bear markets. So I'll leave this graphic up here on the screen for a bit, but what I had to reply to after seeing it was that I did not think this was the right way to visualize this information, because it doesn't give equal weight to all of the data plotted. So what you have down here are 14 data points, one of which, the purple one, the thick one here, is the one that's in progress. So the question that is implied here is how long will this one go on before it ends? And what this visualization does is give additional weight to the bear markets that lasted the longest by giving them the most screen real estate, right? The area of this particular line, this light blue over here, is much greater than the area of some of these lines back here that are completely buried in a bunch of noise. That's what my comment here was supposed to say. This visualization is super noisy. I'd like to see it charted as an XY scatter plot with max drawdown percent on the y-axis and duration in days on the x-axis. That would give each bear market equal visual weight rather than drawing more attention to the bears that lasted longest. So that's exactly what Fernando did. God bless him. He gave me what I was asking for, and it looks like this instead. So this point way out here from 1932, so the Great Depression, doesn't get all this additional weight from seeing the whole line plotted all the way to it. It's just visually showing up as the outlier it is. So if you wanted to go halfway across this page from left to right, or find the median observation, well, you just need to count across 7 of these, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So between this point and this point is the median duration of a bear market. So 240 days-ish, someplace in that range. And if you want to know what the median drawdown from prior peak is, you would count down the page, 7 observations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So between this point and this point, so maybe, you know, 31% or something is the average drawdown. So I find, so this would be the center of mass for this data cloud. And the function would be curved somewhat. If you were to plot this as a regression, and give it a curve of best fit, I think it would come through this area right here. So maybe we're already there because 2022 06 16, that's right here. So maybe we've got a little more to go down and a little more to go across. But Tesla investors, take heart. This is just telling you what the total S&P 500 average did, not what the best individual stocks within the market did. Whenever a bear market happens, some companies recover out of it sooner than others. And to me, it looks like Tesla is one of the companies recovering out of this bear market faster, which makes sense when you look at the earnings growth expectations moving higher for analysts, stuff like that. I've spent too much time on this tweet, so I will keep moving. And here's another tweet from Earl. How will GM make more EVs than Tesla when Mary can't even get more likes than Earl? That's not so much funny as it is true, right? So here's Earl with 87,000 followers. I know for a fact Mary Barra doesn't have 87,000 followers. I mean, the logic is inarguable from Earl on that point. So he got a like from me. Next, a tweet from Paul Tan at Paul C. Tan on Twitter. For reference, here's what full Greg, or here's where full Greg came from. The expression, quote, full Greg, end quote. So he found an old tweet of mine from December of last year. I guess it's not all that old. At G Wester, this being Greg Wester, sold at $60, split adjusted, in late 2019, hoping for a dip to 45 so he could buy again. Now the ghost of Bull Greg Wester is cursed to walk the streets of Twitter forever, writing FUD about Tesla and hitting send until it drops to $45 so his tortured soul can rest. Never go full Greg. So yeah, when Greg sold at 300 in 2019, it was pre-split. But his wish that it will return to that $300 amount, even post-split, never leaves his mind. And here's some of the tweets that I mentioned that Greg is cursed to write forever or until Tesla returns to that market price. All right, next up is a tweet from K10 saying congratulations. This is one of the ones I couldn't bear to unlike. She said excellent graphs and content, so thank you, Kristen. Next, a tweet from Short Shorts Historian, this day in Tesla Q history. Can't wait for the debate against the judge and jury. Tesla charts 2 years ago. I can say this after interviewing Nicola Trevor. Nobody on Kathy D. Wood's team could hold a candle to him. He'd crush them in a debate. They'd better get their shit together. Oh, come on. Come on, Tesla charts. Are you seriously? Yeah. Yep. So that was funny. And nice tweet here from Sawyer Merritt. This is another one I couldn't stand to not like. He's well past 100,000 followers on Twitter himself. So thanks, Sawyer. And one from Amit Rana here saying a lot of your hard work has gone on into this. So thank you, Amit. Next, we have a tweet here from Tesla, at Tesla on Twitter. So this was retweeting Elon Musk saying congratulations to Tesla Fremont and Giga Nevada for making their 2 millionth car. And here's a GIF with the celebration happening at Tesla HQ. And I just realized I don't have my coffee, so I'm just going to grab that. Bam, I'm back. My voice gets dry doing all this talking. All right, I am recaffeinated and ready to keep moving. So yeah, pretty good stuff here. These photos look nice. That is the 2 millionth Tesla, and it is a beauty in red. Wonder if that's a performance model. Model 3 with sweet chrome delete black door handles. Those always look so sharp. And there's the team. that made the 2 millionth car. Awesome. All right, back we go. Did I do it again? Yeah, I did it again. Okay, it's gonna be easy to find though. Back to my likes we go, back down the page we go. I'm gonna be able to find this really quickly because you can't miss a bright red Tesla. Here it is. Okay. Alex said congrats at AJ Tourville. I think we'll see another tweet from him before we're done. Elon Musk says total scam. Why would I like a tweet that says total scam? Oh, I replied to this. Most people assume ESG scores. Yeah, that's what that is the scam to which Elon Musk refers. Most people assume ESG scores measure how good companies are for the environment. The corporations selling ESG funds want you to believe that, but it's totally untrue. And Tesla Boomer Mama explains the ESG scam for what it is in this video. That's what she said she wants me to call her instead of having to put up with my horrible French accent, trying to interpret what I think this handle means. So that's what that tweet was about that I liked. And here's a tweet from Teslarati where Jonna Kreider wrote an article about my appearance on the 4K podcast video. So lying liars and their obvious lies is what Brian subtitled that video, Tesla Q, BS, and FUD with James Stevenson. So there's me, and that's what that is about. So I like that tweet from Teslarati. Next, a tweet from Tesla Herbert at Tesla Herbert, our good friend Brian. Twitter at 4K Podcast and YouTube, My Tesla Weekend, made it to Teslarati. Check out the video with that I cannot underscore enough. So I like that. Tim Busby at Life at 130 BPM tweeted, I believe it's 2 million out of Fremont alone, 3 million in total. And Tim is not wrong very often. And the tweet he was replying to got deleted. So somebody was not understanding how many vehicles Tesla sold in this thread that began from Stephen Mark Ryan saying Tesla has sold 3 million vehicles and has 6 million retail investors. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when the number of with the number of retail investors as vehicles sold doubles, and doubles again. Yeah, if you've seen my revenue chart, you know that that's what's going on, exponential growth and disrupting the entire combustion engine vehicle market is a whopper of a transition. And if nobody else wants to get serious about making tons of EVs, Tesla will do it. Tesla will do it. And if they have to take an outsized share of the total vehicle market, they'll do it. So Emmett Peppers at Emmett Peppers replied, yes, massive wave of inbound investors over time. There's got to be a good way to measure it. So to help estimate / track how many new holding on for dear life retail investors will come on board in each quarter going forward. So long-term investors is what HODL means here. So that's what that thread was about. Next, a tweet from Electric Jen at Electric Jen on Twitter. Non-EV owners, I need 500-mile range. Actual EV owners, no you don't. Non-EV owners, lists every possible corner case that they've never actually come across in their lives. But no, their bladders can't go for that many miles anyway. It's true. Yeah. Before you buy your first electric vehicle, you worry, oh no, is it going to run out of charge? Then what will I do? And then after you buy an electric vehicle, it hits you. Oh, every single day it's charged all the way up. It's got a full charge every morning. And the best way of explaining it to somebody who still has a gas car and hasn't tried an EV yet is, how often would you need to go to the gas station if every night you paid a service to come to your house every night and top off your gas tank for you? How many times would you have to go to a gas station then? only if you were on a road trip, right? That ding, 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 that's it. And which brand of electric vehicle offers a supercharger network that has quick charging stations that are reliable and fast that are on your route when you take long trips? Only Tesla. This is important. All right, next, a tweet from Tesla Boomer Mama. Thank you for the shout out, James. I was more concise here in 10 minutes. If you want a good intro to the topic, please watch this. And thanks to Farzad at Farziness on Twitter for letting me go on. Start at 1 hour? That doesn't seem right. Maybe it's right. Also put this in relation to the shareholder vote. ESG is a scam and it's hurting Tesla is the name of the video there. So you can check that out. Next, a tweet from Tim Urban at Wait But Why about population density. Because you and I both know you have nothing better to do, let's start with this cool way to visualize population density by under the radar with an E in the middle of radar. The height of each spike displays the population density in that location. So here's a big version of that graphic. And here's where your population of Earth is. It's in India and it's in China and Jakarta. And wow, I mean, just crazy to see how low the population density in Europe is and in the US. Mexico City, very, very populous. But wow, not a lot of people elsewhere on our planet. You get confused when you're in a big city and you think, look at all these people I can see. The Earth is very crowded. But then if you drive out to, I don't know, West Texas or something, you realize, oh, there's way more cows in this county than there are people. It's true, and that's happening across most of the Earth. So a really cool thread here. I'll scroll through it super fast to give you some of the other visualizations that are in here. If you want to go check them out, here's just the US. You can see the population is concentrated in the large cities. Next, here's China. And most of its population is on the eastern side of the country and along the coast. Here's Southeast Asia with Java off the hook. There's Jakarta. And no one is in Iceland. And I'm sorry to have to say that aloud for at ENN_ Nafenlaus, which I always pronounce wrong and then can't remember how to pronounce it correctly. But she's in Iceland and that name is Icelandic for anonymous. Nafenlaus, maybe, is how I'm supposed to pronounce it. Or Australia, population density in Australia. Yeah, so you've got a few cities here that a lot of people live in Australia. And apart from that, there's not many people in these desert regions of Australia. Northern India needs to chill. Yeah, so here's the India's Indo-Gangetic Plain, which lies directly south of the Himalayas, is one of the most densely populated regions on Earth. Yeah, crazy stuff to look at. So many people. And while we're in Bangladesh, there are an equal number of people in the red and blue regions. So here's Bangladesh. And as many people live here as live in all these blue areas combined. Some of those Midwestern US states that I mentioned made the cut for this particular visualization. Also, I figured this one out. If everyone lived as densely as they do in Manhattan, the human race could fit in New Zealand. All right. And because we're on a roll, more people live in the red regions than in all of the gray combined. So yeah, just draw a little circle around this area right here. And more people live inside this circle than outside it. Crazy stuff. Okay, I'll stop there with that thread. And I'll keep moving. Elon replied, Earth is basically empty of humans. Yeah, if you're a satellite falling out of orbit, you are extremely unlikely to land on a person or people. Extremely unlikely. Almost none of Earth's surface has people standing on it. Here's a tweet. Congratulations, James, on the 100,000 followers that I liked from @DJ4Short in NC. So that was fun. Next, a tweet from the Short Shorts historian @Tesla historian. This day in Tesla Q history, 4 years ago, the gig was up. From Barnacle Bill, I agree, it will not go Tesla Q until it's overwhelmingly obvious demand is so weak that all the other lies will become apparent to even the most hypnotized cult members. People aren't ready for the mass adoption of electrics, even at $35,000. Production will stop. The gig will be up from July 19th, 2018, or visualized on a Tesla stock chart, a 5-year stock chart. Here is the date that was sent. Before it became overwhelmingly obvious that demand was weak. Ha ha ha. And then I did like a tweet replying from Chris Pierce @ChristmasPierce on Twitter. Gig as in gig economy, or was it supposed to be jig? And Barnacle Bill is just clueless about American idioms. Yes, it was supposed to be jig. The jig is up, not the gig is up. That's the expression. Next, a tweet from Jonna Kreider @JonnaKreider1. That last line, ha ha ha. James Stevenson, happy Tesla earnings day, everyone. I cleaned up that fresh chart I tweeted yesterday and added something I think will help people understand GAAP versus non-GAAP versus adjusted earnings. No matter what numbers Tesla reports this afternoon, people, including reporters, will be confused. So I tweeted this visualization out before Tesla reported earnings. This is my forecast and not what Tesla reported here. But it's just my best effort at explaining the difference between GAAP EPS, non-GAAP EPS, which is just this plus the stock compensation, and adjusted non-GAAP EPS, which also includes the restructuring and other Bitcoin impairment that Wall Street throws out as being a one-time non-sustainable item. So these are the revenues and the expenses per diluted share by category as Tesla reports them. And then the following day, I put out a video that compares my forecast against what actually happened for Tesla. So that's out there if you want to go check it out on my channel. A tweet from Jose Melendez I liked. Great clear visuals as usual. Thanks, Jose. Irrefutable Substance @Irrefutable Sub1 tweeted, I totally thought it was something like Tableau or something. Looks really great nonetheless. Love your content. Gold standard for Tesla bull case. This, if I scroll up, was talking about his question. What tool did you use to create these charts? They're great. And I said, that is Microsoft Excel with the nerd emoji here. And then I followed up, I mean, it's Excel with a whole bunch of sneaky tricks layered on top of each other. So it's really a lot of interesting stuff all sandwiched on top of each other for maximum visual appeal. I like to tweet from Al @RedBullPLS. James, your gifts are undefeated. So this thread, okay, was in reply here. So, I went on in my thread to say there's a longstanding battle over whether stock-based compensation expense should count against earnings or not. Accountants say it should. They determine the GAAP rules, so they get to win in terms of what companies have to report on their earnings. But Wall Street takes their vengeance by saying it's non-cash and throwing it out of the non-GAAP earnings, the numbers that they stick to. So later in this thread, I clarified that any non-GAAP EPS number within 40 cents of the Wall Street consensus non-GAAP EPS estimate at $1.77 would count as a beat. if you assume that there's going to be 40 cents of Bitcoin impairment, which there ended up not being because Tesla sold a bunch of Bitcoin. I did a few videos on that. You can go check out. Gary says anything above $1.40. I said yes. Anything beating Gary's estimate counts as a beat because Gary's estimate was $1.40. Andrew Tesla at Andrew Tesla _ on Twitter tweeted Gary the ultimate bear, and Gary said, "I like being the low estimate." So I tweeted this GIF, $1 Bob, from the American game show The Price is Right, where the rules are if you overbid even by $1, you lose. So a lot of people take as their strategy to bid only $1 when they think everyone else has overbid. All right. Explaining the joke always makes the joke funnier. That's a rule of comedy. Next, a tweet from Troy Teslike at Troy Teslike. Non-GAAP EPS was even higher than I estimated, but automotive gross margin, excluding regulatory credits, was a big miss on my part. So I clearly missed something in my gross margin calculations. And then he tweeted out a table that compares his estimate against what actually happened. So it is tough to forecast, folks. Forecasting is hard. And you know from the outset that whatever you forecast, it will be wrong, because that is the first rule of forecasting. Next, a tweet from Gary Black at Gary Black 00 on Twitter. Tesla second quarter non-GAAP EPS of $2.18 versus $1.77 street. Auto gross margin excluding ZEV was 26.2% versus an estimate of 26.2%. I never thought I would say it, but Wall Street was right about something that they expected. And it was the Tesla automotive gross margin excluding ZEV credits. Tesla sold 75% of its Bitcoin. Before quarter end, restructuring charge of just negative 11 cents per share versus my estimate down 45 cents per share. That's the Bitcoin impairment. Tax rate was 8.3% versus 12.5% expected. Tesla reaffirmed its 50% long-term volume growth. Tesla plus 0.6% after hours, and boy did it take off the next day, up another 10% above this. And then the day after that, it was up again. So investors are liking the earnings that they saw from Tesla. I think it's a lot of risk off is what's going on. People saying, hey, if a quarter that bad still has earnings this good from Tesla, and if we don't see roadblocks in the near term, then this is a cheap stock at this point. Not trading advice, do your own research, etc. For entertainment purposes only. Got to remember all the disclaimers. All right, Yashu Sharma tweeted, thanks for another great mega stream, everyone. My voice is done. Catch you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific with @ICannot_enough. So he put out a marathon live stream for earnings the night before earnings. So here's a tweet from Rob Maurer at Tesla Podcast, who you should definitely follow and listen to Rob's podcast. Well, that turned out well, haha, he tweeted. So I had tweeted 106 million is what Rob came up with, doing some quick napkin math during his live stream, and I bet he's not off by much. We may get an exact figure from Zach during the earnings call. And I told Rob he nailed that and tweeted out this GIF of Rob dancing. Not a lot of folks know this, but Rob is an excellent dancer. And there's visual proof right here. It even says, hey, everybody, Rob Maurer on the GIF. So that's little known fact about Rob. All right, next, we have a tweet from Jonas Johnson. Thanks for compiling these awesome charts. I really appreciate them and use them a lot when discussing Tesla. I like that. Here's a tweet from Alex at AJ Tourville, visualizing the change in Twitter fake/spam accounts over the past 30 quarters, 7.5 years at Elon Musk. And with this tweet, I'm going to pause here and say this is James's Gems of the half week, and I will stop sharing and have to continue this video in part 2. So if you've enjoyed this video, click the like button. And if you haven't, go find something else to watch on YouTube. But if you're not subscribed to my channel, you can subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in part 2 of James's Gems of the Week for this last week. It's a busier than usual week.